Representative Andy Biggs joins us on the show. How are you?
I'm really good, Jimmy. I tell you what, I am glad that I don't have to do those moves like Bruce Lee does, because then I would be, oh boy, I can't imagine how sore I'd be.
Are you at that age now where you watch the Kung Fu movie and it just looks exhausting to you? I get it.
The opening credits wear me out.
Where is that? Yeah. Where is that moment in a guy's life where you're watching sports and you're starting to pay more attention to the manager than the players? You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at.
Look, it kind of gets to you when you realize you're older than every player in the NFL, the NBA, and MLB, and you say, "Okay, yeah."
Well, I will say this really quick. Go ahead.
When you are up on blocks and they're trying to steal the steering wheel and the radio after they've already taken the hubcaps, that's when you know your body's in trouble. That's what I'm saying.
You know what my rock bottom was? I was watching Rocky one day, and I go, I could be Paulie.
Jimmy. Yeah. I'm going to start calling you Paulie.
I gotta. Well, real quick, Congressman Biggs, before we get into the grown-up stuff, by the way, I have to ask you about Rocky, because what happened is, we have everybody on. We've had a lot of your congressional colleagues in the past few weeks. Jim Jordan was on, Matt Gaetz was on. Even over in the Senate, we had the great Tim Scott on, and they had started this debate over which was the best Rocky movie. Do you care to tell the Fox Across America audience which Rocky movie Andy Biggs would throw his weight behind?
The first, absolutely. The first was by far the best.
Wow.
A little bit rawer, a little bit more immature, a little bit rougher, but realer. A lot realer.
Gritty.
Realer, more real.
Real,
anyways.
raw. Yeah. I'm not good with the film terminology either. I'm like, it's awesomest, but no, I get it. It was. I am very much torn between Rocky 1, and we had, of course, the great Chuck Fleischman on from Tennessee yesterday, who was partial towards Rocky 4 because of the Cold War overview thing there. But I'm with you that the OG Rocky, which is, the real one, is the one. So you got a lot of credit there. But I will continue, as you continue to come on to the show, I will update you as to what your colleagues say. Because, Jordan was a Rocky 2 guy. He liked the rematch against Apollo. And Gaetz was one. Tim Scott actually loved Rocky 3. But that's just because Hulk Hogan's in it. He's a big Thunder Lips fan. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to talk to it.
I'm going to have to give Tim Scott a little bit of a hard time about that. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll have a movie intervention the next time you guys are around. Well, there's a couple of things you haven't endorsed this week. One of which is Dr. Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx. I read your piece in the Washington Examiner. Are you telling you're telling America basically it's time to thank them for their service and let them move on? Are you tired of the lockdowns? Is that what this is?
Yeah, absolutely. Give them the gold watch and say thank you. Exit stage left. It's time for them to go out and be quarantined without a government paycheck and see how they like that. Wow. See how they like it. Really, because that's what you've got. You've got two classes of people in America today. Uh-huh. You've got the people who are the bureaucrats, and these guys have done. I don't want to be critical. They may be lovely people. I simply don't know them, but I can tell you this: their policies have produced a division in this country. They've produced an economic depression in this country. They've basically they've created societal problems. Everything from more suicide hotline calls, domestic violence, child abuse, increased use of drugs and alcohol. They've basically sanctioned elimination and if not full elimination, at least a curtailing of our rights. Mm-hmm. And basically they've said we would rather commit economic suicide than have freedom and let people govern themselves and take the risk of freedom. And then we could have put in reasonable policies to protect the most vulnerable. We knew who the most vulnerable was from the get-go. We knew it was the elderly. We knew that it was people with these types of morbidities and health problems. Mm-hmm. But instead they said, let's quarantine the healthy as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so you got a crazy... Didn't you also have kind of this kind of quasi-martial law feel going on. You go to Jack in the Box, which is a hamburger store chain, right? You're sitting in the car eating your burger, and a police officer shows up and says, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm eating my burger here. I just got, Oh, no, you can't eat it in the parking lot." "Well, I'm the only car in the parking lot." No, you're going to have to take that burger home." Well, I'm halfway through.
Wait, and you also got to tell the cop that if you can hold down Jack in the Box, you're probably immune to coronavirus.
I have an affection for Jack in the Box. Come on now.
No, me too. I'm not giving him a hard time. I'm very I love Jack in the Box. I ain't saying a bad thing about it. But to your point about protecting the elderly, what's very interesting to me is Florida Governor Ron DeSanto, who's taken so much criticism for his handling of the virus, has an older population than New York, has a bigger population than New York, and has far fewer cases. And he shut down much later than everybody else because he trusted the people to kind of behave. There is a basic self-preservation instinct within all of us that'll stay 6 feet away and throw on a mask. No?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. I mean, Jim, if you want to stay inside and quarantine yourself, I'm all for it. That is your right, and I applaud you for that. And if you're sick, you probably should. If you're vulnerable, you should. But if I'm healthy and you allow me to go into the big box store and I can buy my cereal and my eggs, but I can't buy the furniture there, or if I can buy the furniture there, but I can't go to a retailer, a brick and mortar retailer who are already getting beat up by the online stores, and you're telling a brick and mortar retailer, hey, guess what? You can't open up. Yeah. Well, that means that you got a whole cascade because the middleman, and then you've got the people who are making the furniture. They don't have the outlets, and so the supply chain cascades down to a total fracture in our economy. So the foundation gets absolutely blistered because the entire supply chain is blown up. And it doesn't make rhyme or reason. You can go to the grocery store, but by golly, you can't go to the hobby shop. You've got the governor of Michigan. What's her face? Right?
Gretchen Whitmer. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. I like to call her what's her face. Governor what's her face. She says, look, you can't go to a beauty salon unless you're like me, or you're an important person who's going to be on TV, and I got to look good. That's the kind of dichotomy you've created in the system, which is authored, quite frankly, by the approach that Fauci and Birx have made here.
Well, yeah, and I think the point is, it speaks to the bureaucrats at the tippy top of the government and certainly, a lot of elitist politicians just being out of touch with the reality of voters on the ground. Because the people saying, let's stay home forever, can stay home forever. The people that are out there protesting, trying to get back to work, need to go back to work. And, I think the overarching premise of your piece, I completely agree with, is that, we can trust people to get out there and protect themselves, and they should have the right to try, which I am frustrated by as well. But I want to pivot to something else. Are you in favor of the president's move to defund the WHO? Because your colleague, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, says this is no time to be picking a fight with a British rock band.
I thought they broke up. Are they trying to go back on tour? Is that what's happening?
They're actually, you want to know something for real? They do get back together, but they're a little older now. When they're on stage, they're singing "Who Are You" to each other. They don't even know what's going on. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, I understand when Pete Townsend is trying to play the guitar with his teeth like he used to. He's in danger of the dentures just sticking to the guitar.
Yeah, it's not good.
Be a real problem. Not good.
It's not good. Look, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a problem with the WHO. First of all, just so you know, in all fairness, I used to represent some NGOs doing some work at multilateral institutions. Mm-hmm. And I really mistrust multilateral institutions, but I particularly mistrust multilateral institutions that the U.S. is the dominant funder, and the president of that organization has an overt bias and hatred toward the United States of America. I don't know why we're even participating in the WHO, whether the rock band or the World Health Organization. We should not be affiliated with either one.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. It's like I feel like, although it's a little harsh on the band, they've done nice things.
I actually like the band. I like some of the band. I tell you that movie Tommy.
Yeah.
Did you ever see it? That was I fell asleep every time I saw it within 10 minutes. I kept hearing it's a good movie. I couldn't make it.
No, I know. It's like Pink Floyd, The Wall, or the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. I'm sure there's a banned substance out there that could get you through it, but absent that, you're not going to do it on coffee alone.
Right.
My question for you on the WHO, and as certainly as it pertains to China, is, we know now in Congress, we know in our government that China misled the world. Is that fair to say in terms of their case rate and their infection rate?
Yes, and they still are.
Okay. Even now?
Yeah,
wow.
I think so.
Who do you trust more, China's corona stats or the truck stop tilapia?
The tilapia.
Really? That's aggressive. No, but I am fascinated by this because on the show we've been harping a lot on the WHO, we've been harping a lot on China, but I don't really hear enough of it in our political discourse. I think on the left, because they look at that as like a deflection by the president, or they don't want to, air quotes, let him off the hook. But I feel like as a country, we have a common enemy in China, regardless of what political party you're in. But do the Democrats feel that way, or are they what, Trump likes to call Biden like, the candidate for China? Is that really true?
I think the rank and file mostly is skeptical of China and views China with dubious eyes and thinks something should happen to them. I think when you get up to the more elite ranks, they're much more happy, more sanguine to deal with China. I think that we need to just face the facts. China is not merely an economic competitor. They are a foe. So everybody got their minds blown because Russia was interfering with our elections. China, much more sophisticated, also trying to influence elections. Iran possibly was trying to influence elections. China stealing our intellectual property, and over the last 25, 30 years, we have built for China. They're middle class. They're deep water navy. They're very high tech telemetry and rocketry, and we've done it with our technology. Sometimes under the Clinton administration, there were overt and open tech transfers. Other times, China has just stolen it, and we've got to stand up to them. But we also have to see if we can bring back some of the supply chain from China, and we can do that greatly if we impose a much better tax system and a much better regulatory environment to be here. You do that, and all of a sudden your fixed costs, your labor costs go down, and there's an incentive to be here in the United States.
Wow. No, that makes all the sense in the world to me. And I think there is going to be a little bit of a reckoning for them when this is all over and we're doing a post-mortem on how we wound up in this position and how we reacted to it. One last thing. The president says he knows where Kim Jong-un is. Do you?
I do not. I do not know where he is.
Did they give you like a book in Congress, like a Where's Waldo book, where you have to look for him?
I don't, I don't know where he is. All I know is when I look at the satellite picture, it's over North Korea and has been for decades, and everywhere else in the world is light. So it is the hermit kingdom for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised to hear that a man who can run a 30-second mile is experiencing health problems? Don't even answer that. I'm just being a clown now. I'm just enjoying your company, Congressman. Listen, man. I just think this validates our argument about not being in such good shape. A guy like Kim Jong-un who shoots 18 holes in one, he scores 100 points in a basketball game. Look where it got him. So we should stick to our policy of being out of shape, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, he would be much happier if he was just watching the Bruce Lee film instead of trying to be Bruce Lee.
See,
that's just the way I look at it.
Well spoken. Who knew this interview peaked in the first 30 seconds? Great time. Thanks for coming on, Congressman. Stay safe.
All right, you too. Take care.
See you soon. There he goes, the great Congressman Andy Biggs. We are back after this.